Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. Jeff, this is a fun deck profile. I remember we were doing an episode of T3. Me, you, and Basil were here, and I don't know how this came up, but when this ball started rolling, it just threw up Digimon.dev, and we just started building.
Yeah. So this is one of those like decks where something just jumped in my head, and I couldn't even tell you where the source of inspiration came from. I've always been an Omnimon Zwart fan. Always been a fan of this card. If you know me on the channel, you know I love decks that go wide. I absolutely love it. And so, if you also know me, you know I love purple decks and Mega Zoo decks, and I love purple Mega Zoo decks specifically. And this all kind of just came together, and it just worked itself into a really unique way to learn the ace cards and try out the ace cards and get that Mega Zoo itch definitely going. So let's talk about what this is. This is Ace Mega Zoo
Turbo.
So, Ace Mega Zoo Turbo. It's fast. It's fast as everything. Anyways, so the whole point of this deck is Omnimon Zwart. Omnimon Zwart, when digivolving, you're going to trash top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to play out 2 8-cost. Notice how I didn't say any level requirements.
Right.
8 costs or less, purple and black Digimon. What does that mean? Well, our new Ace level 6s are only 6 cost. So they can be played out from Zwart. It is now the highest DP body base that Zwart can bring out.
Yep.
It's insane. And then not only that, you have Wargray Ace, who's a blocker. You have Wargray Ace, who can unsuspend all turns after security is removed. So I've had turns where Zwart brings out 2 Wargray Aces, and then I have 5 checks that turn.
That's wild.
Right, it's wild. It's insane. Metal Garurumon Ace has great removal and built into its when attacking ability. Guys, I really like this deck. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. I will warn you and say that Overflow does sting.
Yeah.
You will get burned, but this is one of those decks that I like to build where it's high risk, high reward, and I do think that the reward of having a ginormous threatening board of 6s and 7s is something that you just can't overlook. So I cannot wait to share this deck with you guys. Let's dive into it, shall we?
Oh. Yeah, this was one of really fun inspiration. I loved because obviously when they made Zwart,
they weren't thinking. They didn't think they were gonna have ace cards like this. So absolutely. So again, the whole point of this deck, we are trying to get ace cards in trash, right? So for example, I like to prioritize getting Wargray Ace into trash because Wargray Ace has that multi-swing ability. It's a blocker. It's pretty powerful dude left alone. So Demi Mera really helps with that in purple, as everyone knows by this point, hopefully.
Draw one, trash
Draw one, trash one. Draw a piece that you need, trash a Wargray Ace to get set up in trash, or trash a couple other things that we have that can really help with our ideas. And this is just my preference, tried and true, how I really like my kind of like low end for these purple type zoo decks. I love the BT2 Gabumon, you know, it's just great. I love, and I guess it kind of does go with the theme too, the fact that Mega Ace is featured, Omnimon Zwart's featured, so I'll take that win there. But I've had people ask, you know, why not Guilmon, or why not the new Fascomon, or why not even the starter deck Gabumon? But personally, this is the one that I love. So if you have played similar decks, stick with what you like, right? I definitely like the on deletion draw 2 trash one because I really like it. And it's funny because you would think that I wouldn't get this stack a lot, but
it happens all the time.
Definitely get this stack a lot, right? And it's not like I even mulligan looking specifically for this because that would set myself up for failure. This deck in particular has a lot of great plays that I can do if I don't have this in my opening hand, but I get this quite a lot.
Yeah.
On deletion, draw 3, trash 2. On deletion, draw 2, trash 1. On deletion, draw 1, trash 1. Yeah. So I'm filtering my hand. I'm getting pieces.
Filtering your whole
getting
deck
resources.
Almost. Yeah.
This combination right here goes to your deck quite quick, and it's very familiar to a lot of people. If you follow me on the channel, I'm sure you know that.
Restricted.
And if this was a 4 of, I would definitely be playing it as a 4 of, and this deck would be like 30 times better because this card is absolutely insane. They were definitely smart to restrict it for a reason. Eismon is so good. When you trash this card in your hand using one of your effects, if Eismon is in your trash, you can play this, and then your turn he gets plus 2k for every Eismon scatter in trash. So he's awesome. I really like being able to bring out that level 4 because it pairs great with cards such as Ginkaku Promote, where you could just Digivolve for 1 on top of it, and now you have a rush. You have the ability to just get a lot of things going if you just need to draw an extra card, whatever. A lot
of aggression, a lot of extra checks.
A lot of aggression, a lot of extra checks. And that is going to be it for my 4s and 3s. We're moving on into the level 5 of the deck. There's 2 level 5s in this deck, actually. And this one particular is what I think of the core of the deck.
Yeah.
And I love it when Eismon gets played out for free, and then I just Digivolve into Wisemon to pass my turn, because this sets up a lot of great things. So let's dive into what counter, right, is. The counter is a really interesting new mechanic that we now have in the game, where when your opponent declares their attack, you get to activate the counter ability. So we have Melga Ace, which is the one I kind of like to keep in hand.
Yeah.
Wargray Ace is definitely not bad if you have in hand either. I've definitely gotten a lot of good moves off of that. So you either A, kind of sneakily set up a Wisemon on the field, even if you just hard play it for 6, because Wisemon on play, when Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 purple or black Digimon. Purple and black Digimon here. Yep. And then you get to place the rest of the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So it allows you to set up your deck, grab pieces you need, or I already have too much of this in my hand, I can put that at the bottom. Very much like the Wisemon. But it's great because Wisemon's purple and black.
Yep.
Both of my ace cards are purple and black. So both of these can Digivolve on top, and you can set up a really nice counter. I really like it when I either hard play. And it's funny because in this deck, I actually do Digivolve on top of Eismon Scatter Mode more than I have in previous decks.
Yeah.
Where I'll set up a Wisemon in Raising Area or my other level 5 just to kind of get going because I have the plays that I want to make.
Yeah.
So definitely practice that, play around with that. You'll see what I'm talking about. But, you know, Wisemon, you know, they put it on the board. They even watch you grab an ace card, and sometimes they swing, not realizing that I'm going to counter.
Yep.
Or they don't know you have the ace cards. They're not ready for what your deck does, and then you counter.
Yep.
So it's great. Melga Ace, when Digivolving. So first of all, counter, right? When you do that, you Digivolve for free.
Yep.
You still draw.
Blast Digivolve.
You blast Digivolve, exactly. Then you get to add the cards to the, you draw a card for the Digivolution, then you get to choose to activate effects. So Wargray Ace is just a blocker. Doesn't have anything crazy else like that.
The Wisemon makes you a blocker anyways.
Wisemon has the inheritable blocker. So, you know, if you have Wisemon on the field, you counter. Now all of a sudden you have a big 11k blocker that you can choose to block with. Or Metal Garurumon Ace is awesome. This is the one I like the most. When Digivolving by trashing up to 3 cards in your hand, gain 1 memory for each card trash. Seriously? On my opponent's turn, I can gain memory. So if I give him 2 memory, they swing, I can just counter and make it my turn at 1.
Yep. And you have a level 6 ready.
And I have a level 6 ready to do all the things my deck does. So these cards are insane. The counter is awesome. Let's move on to our last level 5 in the deck. This is one where I'm still experimenting with the ratios, and I'm going to, you know, preface this, guys. This deck is not actually 100% complete because this is a really hard mechanic to work out. I feel like I've gotten it pretty close, and this is where I'm going to leave it for now until I either get some new pieces or whatever. But I'm playing a SkullGrey, and your first thought is you're playing an 8-cost level 5 that doesn't have an on-play in a zoo-type deck. What are you doing?
What are you doing, man?
Exactly. Well, there's a couple of reasons why I'm playing this. I think that, first of all, shout out to Jacob for giving me the idea for the SkullGrey because it just makes too much sense at this point. I tested it last night at Locals. I was actually at 3 of last night, and I liked it as a 3 of, but just to make a little bit more room in the deck, I decided to go down to 2, and I think 2 is going to be okay.
Yeah. But
SkullGrey is a Greymon. Why is that important? Well, we want to be able to keep these 2 to be able to counter when we want to counter.
That makes sense.
Metal Garurumon Ace can Digivolve on any purple level 5. So Wisemon, SkullGrey. Yeah. Wargray Ace can Digivolve on any level 5 with Greymon in name. SkullGrey has Greymon in name.
There you go.
Can Digivolve on SkullGrey and Wisemon. So a couple other reasons why SkullGrey is in the deck. I do like having the ability to be able to Digivolve up on top of Eismon or whatever level 4 I'm using into that SkullGrey to kind of set up a counterplay in the future. SkullGrey is great because I can go ahead and when I trash a card from hand, I can use this. I can tuck Retaliation under like Melga Ace or something, right? Or under Kinkaku Promote, underneath Eismon, right? As long as it's a purple Digimon, I can give Retaliation to somebody. I also really like the when attacking effect on here. When attacking, you may trash 1 card in your hand to have this Digimon gain plus 3,000 for the turn. So now it is a 10k swing in level 5, and I have a really fun new Tamer in the deck, the Black Tie, that gives any Greymon plus 1k in blocker. So now we're talking 11, 12, 13k. and we're talking blocker capabilities as well. So I think the SkullGrey actually synergizes a lot better than I was initially planning with the deck, and I'm quite, impressed with it. It was a really good idea, Jacob. Thank you so much for that. But again, you don't need more than 2 of, because you're not really going to be hard playing it. You're going to try to be digivolving if you set up a body or whatever.
Right.
So now it's time. We're all done with level 5s. We're going up into the big bosses themselves. Melg Ace, I've already talked about what the ability does, but I haven't mentioned the when attacking effect. And this
very good.
has been brutal to people, right? When attacking, once returned by trashing 1 card in your hand, delete 1 of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. If all they have is a level 7 on board, I swing, right? And then pop the level 7 by trashing a card. So does a lot of work. It's really nice. The Wargrey Ace as well. These are both 4-ofs in the deck because this is our main strategy of the deck. Wargrey Ace is just an awesome blocker. Has the ability all turns when a security card is removed from a player's stack. Doesn't matter who. Unsuspend. So he can block twice. He can swing twice. Both of these cards do have overflow.
Yeah.
Overflow, you lose 4 memory when it leaves the battle area. And it is honestly devastating. If you like a high-risk, high-reward deck, this is the deck for you. If you can't handle the fact that you're going to be potentially losing 4 memory a couple times a game, once a game, whatever, this isn't the deck for you. But if you just want to practice ace cards and start experiencing how much fun they can be, because I don't think ace is going anywhere.
Nope.
We're getting level 5s. We're getting more level 6 aces coming, and it's time to start learning them and start understanding that we can now counter on our opponent's turn. So there is a little bit of a risk to having the 11K attackers. Sometimes 11's not where you want to be, and sometimes you only have 3 memory when you swing. You hit 12K, you lose 4 memory, so it can hurt.
Yeah.
But there are definitely good ways around it. So Wargrey Ace, awesome card for sure. And honestly, being a 6-drop, turn 1.
Not bad.
I'll hard drop a Wargrey Ace because it's a blocker on turn 1. And then I'm set up for all my level 7. So
all of them,
it takes you back to that Mega Zoo Spirit where you're like, you know what, I'll drop 10. What can my opponent do? Right, it's still pretty solid move for sure.
But I mean 6. I mean, if you have a memory setter, they have a memory setter. All you're doing is pass the turn, but you're putting a level 6 on the board.
Exactly.
So and setting up for that right there.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right. And here's the level 7 that we alluded to at the beginning of the this particular deck profile. This is Omnimon Zwart. Again, when digivolving, go ahead and mill the top 3 of your deck, and you're going to go ahead and play 2 8-costs purple and black Digimon. So you can play Wargrey Ace, SkullGreymon Ace, SkullGrey, Wisemon, Ginkaku, Eyes, and Gabu. So you can play everything before this, right? So there's definitely a good amount of targets for Zwart. I really like, having cards that I know that I want to pitch, right? That's what I like how when I build my purple decks, knowing that I want to pitch the Eismon when this is in trash because it plays for free. I want to pitch Wargrey Ace because I want to get my Zwart set up, ready to go. Even though it is the main strategy of the deck, I feel like ideally, if I could have 3.5 of this card, I know that's been a joke I've been saying lately, it would be great, but I'd cut 1 just to make more room for other things in the deck that I think are really nice. And sometimes it's not even your best level 7 to digivolve into. Yeah. Sometimes you want to digivolve for a little bit cheaper, and you want to be able to remove Tamers, because Marcuses are pretty prominent. Sometimes when you're playing against the burst mode decks, you want to be able to delete opponents' Tamers.
Yep, they're pretty problematic.
So I play Zwart Defeat.
Yep.
This one I'm playing as a 4-of. This one I'm on the fence about going down to 3-of, but I think there's just so much strength in this deck. I have a little bit of room. It's nice with the whole security kind of aspect where I have a lot of high DP bodies in security, or this comes out where this gets to be played for free. And I just love the on-deletion. It's kind of the removal I needed in this deck, right? So, if you're a fan of Ignitemon has a great inheritable. Ignitemon has an awesome when attacking ability instead of the Gabumon. I could definitely see that. Definitely make that argument. You could Ignitemon, pop a Zwart Defeat, and then kill 2 level 7s, right? You can get a lot of work going on, but Zwart Defeat's really great. Both Zwart and Zwart Defeat, when they have these overflow level 6s underneath, do have the risk of having to lose 4 memory. It's definitely something to keep in mind. Be a little bit, cautious of that. But again, high risk, high reward deck here. Omnimon Zwart does have an awesome when attacking for removal of removing a level 12 cost unsuspended. So sometimes, if you're at 3 memory from your memory setter, you just swing with Zwart, only give him 1 by removing, an ace card back to hand and removing a level 6. It's really not a bad play either, so there's definitely good moves to be made. But another reason why I'm playing 4 of the Zwart Defeat is because I'm playing 2 Alter B.
I love that card.
Alter B is awesome. I wish I was just thinking about this when we were filming your security control deck. If you haven't seen that, go check the last deck profile video or 2 because that deck is awesome. But I remember back in the days of BT5 when we got Zwart, right, and I was playing Tactimon Turbo, and Alter B would have been amazing back then.
Yeah.
It would have been so powerful, and honestly, it's devastating now. So this is a 5-cost Evo on only black, so Wargrey Aces are only target. So that is something you have to be keeping in mind, right? However, it can digivolve for 2 on any one of these Omnimons. So the idea of this deck is you kind of get a stack going with your Omnimons, or Zwart Defeat comes out of security, and then you have Alter B to digivolve on top of that Omnimon for only 2, create a strong 15k body, and it has an awesome when digivolving. You digivolve 3 on one of your opponent's Digimon, then choose any number of your opponent's Digimon so that they play your total play cost of 6 and delete them. And just like you mentioned in our last video, we had, how many times have you seen your opponent's board state being a level 6 and a level 3?
Yep.
And the level 3 in the 6 stack is a 3 cost, and the 3 that they have on the board is a 3 cost. You digivolve 3, you delete their whole board. Just with the Alter B for 2 memory. Yeah. And then you have a 15k body ready to go, and it's just so much work. It's awesome.
Still has a crazy on attacking, too.
Yep. So when attacking, by trashing up to 3 level 6 or lower higher Digimon cards in the Digivolution cards among your opponent's Digimon, you delete the lowest play cost, whether it's Tamer, Digimon, etc. If you trash 3, you'll trash the top 2. It's possible in this deck to trash 3, but you're really not going to have it happen. It's technically possible. You'd have to have an Ace, a Zwart, or Zwart Defeat, and then 2 Alter Bs.
Yeah.
This deck doesn't really have that happening. But you can trash up to 3 level 6. So, for example, you can trash 2 and delete each one of their lowest cost Tamers.
Well, that's the best part, too. You digivolve for 2. You can potentially wipe their board of Digimon, and then you swing and kill 2 Tamers.
And I had that happen at locals last night. They would have a level 7 and like a level 4 on board or something, and they had no Tamers.
That guy murdered Thomas H. Norstein a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like he pops bodies. Now, yes, you do have to pay the overflow memory to do that because, again, high risk, high reward type deck. This is Ace Mega Zoo. We're experimenting with a whole new archetype of cards. So you have to be careful when you're willing to trash the level 6s. The level 7, obviously, there's not really getting penalized for. But, and sometimes you can use that in your advantage and kind of control the memory and get rid of some bodies with that, right? And then I play 1 more level 7 just to be mean because we're playing purple and black level 6s, and it just makes sense to play 2 Death X because Death X is devastating, man. I don't even know what else to say. Like, it's just too good. I feel like you don't need more than 2. You could make the argument of just playing 1 and have a little bit more room for kill spells because, as you'll see here in a sec, I'm a little low on kill spells because I'm kind of relying on big aggressive bodies, getting some fast action going on.
Death X, anytime you can play him for 8, I think that's kind of the threshold where it's worth it, you know?
And honestly, like, just digivolving Death X on one of these ace cards that pop out from Zwart is really devastating.
Not terrible.
Mean, like, you would, in most normal decks, when you have 1 level 7 on board, usually, like, you have, like, a 7, maybe a 6 on board. This deck, pretty consistently, I end up with 2 7s, 3 6s on board at a time. It's devastating how wide this board gets. And it does also hurt really bad when they, remove them all and you overflow 12, but you guys will experience that for yourselves. This is my latest addition to the deck. I was testing it as 4 of last night at locals, and just to, kind of test the proof of concept. It works. It works way better than I thought it was. The tie is awesome. So there's many reasons why this Tamer is in the deck. So let's talk about what he does. Start a main, on a play, 1 of your Digimon with Agumon, obviously no Agumons, or Greymon in its name gets plus 1000k and blocker. So I'm only playing 6 Greymon, so it's not a lot of targets for specifically when it's the on play, but start a main, as you have this out, you get to start making some awesome decisions, right? Wargrey Ace is only an 11k. So if you can buff his DP to 13,000 and swing twice, you're pretty safe where you're not going to overflow.
Yeah.
Right. So I really like the tie. Again, it also pairs well with SkullGrey too because he is a Greymon. So you really get to take advantage of this tie. And also, your turn, when 1 of your Digimon digivolves into Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, by suspending this Tamer, gain 1. So a lot of times what happens with this deck is you set up your level 5, turn 1, turn 2, whether you hard play Wisemon, whether you're digivolving up into SkullGrey, or even digivolving into Wisemon, or something happens where you have a 5 on board. Right? Metal Garurumon Ace is the one I like to keep in hand because you can Digivolve for 0 memory, assuming your opponent doesn't have a memory denier, right? Because you get to trash up to 3 cards to gain the memory you paid to Digivolve back. And that's, not even Digivolving on your opponent's turn where it's free, right? So if you have to Digivolve on your turn, Metal Garurumon Ace is awesome to Digivolve into. Well, sometimes all you really have is Wargray Ace, or sometimes you really just want to get that blocker going because you're only level 7's Alter B or something like that, right? This makes it so I can make the Digivolution to Greymon 1 memory, right? Less. I can gain a memory. And this I can't be countered because nothing that prevents the Tamer memory deletion, right? So I can Digivolve really cheap and effectively into Wargray Ace if I need to. I absolutely love it. And I also really like the idea when I pair it with, for example, my next Tamer, 2 purple mats.
Okay.
Right? So I'm at 3 memory with a memory setter to where I can make it if I have all 3 of these on board or if I crack a memory boost, where I can Digivolve into Zwart or Zwart Defeat or Alter B and keep it my turn to go either up to an Alter B on the next level, right? Or I can go from a 5 to a 6 to a 7, potentially 2 7s, right? By reducing the memory of Digivolving into Omnimon, because Tai does allow you to reduce the Digivolution of Omnimon. So it's quite powerful in this deck. I really like it.
Is it Omnimon in name?
It is. It says or Omnimon in its name. Yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's why this works so well. And you know what? If you guys haven't noticed, I've made a perfect Season 1 / Digimon reboot tribe because we got Wargray, we got Metal Garurumon, we got Omnimon, we got Gabumon, we even got the evil SkullGrey. We have Ty and Matt. We have the whole gang. So we might as well have them together on one individual card to have another Tamer.
Ah, there you go.
Yes, and this one was inspired by your recent deck profile video as well, because you said it perfectly, right? We do have a meta now where there's a lot more level 6s, a lot more level 7s on board doing a lot more work, where you almost want to punish them and be able to gain even more memory because this deck does use a lot of memory, right? Like, Zoo decks in general, even though we've somehow reduced our level 6s by 4 to hard play, whatever, right? We still use a lot of memory in this type of deck. So having 2 tie-in mats really helps with the deck, and then, of course, now these all have security attack +1 for each of the Tamers on board. These are the ones you want to have those big aggressive security attacks where you're just doing tons of damage. Zwart Defeat comes out of security, 2-3 checks, depending on how many of these you have on board. It's absolutely devastating. So now we're all done with Digimon. We're all done with Tamers. We are now into just the remaining cards, which are options. So I cannot wait to see what you guys think of this. Jump in the comments. Let us know what you would change differently. If you try this deck, would love to hear you guys' feedback. And guys, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Get subscribed if you want to see more Ace Mega Zoo, if you want to see more of the craziest decks you'll ever see, because we're just getting started over here. So our first option is going to be a 3 of Miss Memory Boost. And if you guys know me, you're like, how is Jeff only playing a 3 Miss Memory Boost? Because normally I'm a 4 of this, but I've been really liking this deck. It's been making me rethink my deck building strategies where it's like, you know what? I can get away with 3 of that. Yeah. And I definitely feel like the 4th would be nice. Haven't missed it too much. So Miss Memory Boost is really nice. Trash top 2 cards. Hopefully you trash some Wargray Aces or even some level 5s to be able to recur or whatever. And then you draw 1 card and then it has an awesome delay of just gaining 2 memory. It's really nice. Having Memory Boost in the deck is really helpful. We are playing 2 Underworld's Call. So this is one where
older card.
Yeah, this is one where it's nice when it triggers in security because you can bring out Genkake Promote, Eyes, or Gabu. Those are the only targets, so it doesn't need to be a full 4 of. Honestly, I really like this card because I like the idea of when I trash, right? When you trash this card in your hand using one of your effects, trigger draw 1. So you trash a card, you draw 1. So if you trash with Melga Ace, you're drawing another card. Right, so that's really why it's in there. You could make the argument to get rid of that, put in some more kill spells. I definitely don't disagree. I've been liking it just as a 2 of. I almost went to a 1 of, but I feel like 1's really stretching it. So this is where I'm at right now. We're playing a 1 of Calling from Darkness because it's restricted, and I get in trouble if I play more than 1. This card's great. Yeah, this card is devastating. I mean, let's say Zwart Defeat's what I delete with it. I pop a Zwart Defeat to delete a level 7 or lower of my opponent. And then I can grab 2 purple Digimon cards back to hand, recycle Gabumons, recycle Eismon, grab Wise, grab Melga Ace, whatever I need. I can get with the Calling from Darkness.
That's pretty much your number 1 target for the purple mats to recycle, right?
Absolutely.
To reuse a restricted card.
Yeah, so Absolutely. The Calling from Darkness is a great card. It does a lot of work, and it's really nice when you have an empty board or just something in the racing because you can just return 2 things for 1. It's pretty solid. The rest of my options are also 1-ofs because I'm trying to be a better Digimon player and play a lot more 1-ofs. So I'm playing a 1-of Deathclaw.
Okay. Yep. Kind of the same reasoning, right?
Kind of the same reasoning where I can pop a Zwart Defeat. That's really what my inspiration was. Also, I like it with Eismon because Eismon does not always die to security, as everybody knows. So sometimes it's nice when I can just Eismon and they have a searcher on board. They have a level 4 they're setting up, a block or whatever it may be. I can just pop my Eismon to get rid of a level 4 target of theirs for only 1, and then I got to draw a bunch of cards, right? Yep. So big fan of the Deathclaw. You could make the argument to go to 2-of. I definitely don't disagree. 1's been fine for me so far. Then my last card. This is one that I have experimented with so many times. Usually, I can't stop myself from playing 4-of, so this is the first time I'm doing it as a 1-of ever. Necrophobia. We're talking about a BT3 purple option that's always been one of my favorite cards. Main, play 1 level 5 purple Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost, and any on-play does not activate, unfortunately. So it's only 5. So for 5, you can set up your level 5 from trash, whether it's SkullGrey or Wisemon, so that way you have a counter ready to go. Yeah. That's kind of what the thought process is, right? Like if you have 3 memory with Matt, right? You know, you hard play Necrophobia, you only give your opponent 2, it's not that bad. You bring out a level 5, you have a counter in hand, you're ready to do some shenanigans to get your level 6 set up on their turn. Or, you know, and it's even nice when it pops in security as a 1-of. Again, I know it's a 1-of, it's not always going to happen perfectly like this.
Yeah.
Pops out of security, brings out a level 5, and then you can counter right then and there when they swing with their next attack, right? If it's swinging for game, you can set up a blocker, right? So, big fan of this. The options was a little bit tricky. I would like to have more kill spells to go a little bit more security control, but I'm really focusing on just being aggressive, setting up wide, devastating boards with lots of power and 6s and being able to loop with these 7s. And that's my thought process for this deck. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. I want to know, have you tried the ace cards? What do you think of the ace cards? What do you think of the future ace cards? And if you do try this, let me know what you guys change. So thank you so much for watching and staying tuned to the channel, because we're going to have more great deck profile videos coming your way. Thank you.
See you again.